Okay, call this meeting to order of the Village of Villa Park Village Board. Clerk Konecki, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Silella?
Here.
Trustee Corkery?
Here.
Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar? Here. Trustee Murphy? Here. Trustee Patrick?
Here.
President Kazone?
Here. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could remain standing for just a minute. Say a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to share meaningful discussions that will affect the staff, directors, and the residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, our next item is public comments on agenda items. Clerk Konecki, do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, for agenda, yes, we do. The first one, I think that's Michelle Boughton? Yes. Michelle, okay, thank you. Regarding Vermont Ardmore Development.
Okay. And if we could remind everybody, please keep it to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Actually, at the last meeting, you granted a planning and zoning person 30 extra seconds, and it would look a little like the board is collaborating with other people if you don't allow at least one of us to have an extra 30 seconds.
We
We'll
did
keep
that
it-
because he had asked the question of the staff,
restrict this.
so we gave him
Yeah.
this extra time to answer those questions.
Well, we should get an extra 30 seconds. At least one of us should. Otherwise, it does look a little kind of too political. So a lot of people, apparently who live on the south side, who probably aren't here tonight, are calling our area blight because more lower income people live there. That's a little offensive. I'm an only parent because my late ex-husband died in 2009. So I don't make $80,000 a year. And a lot of people who have lower income jobs, it's all they can get. If blight is defined by empty retail spaces, there's a lot of blight on St. Charles Avenue, just to let you know. I've checked. Neighborhood residents, we're not really getting anything out of this except more noise and traffic. Is the restaurant even going to be affordable? Because for me, that needs to be $25 for dinner with a drink, including tip. Okay? We're already dealing with increased freight train traffic when there are separate tracks for the freight trains, hardly ever used. 10 to 20 minutes waiting, and sometimes across all 3 crossings. The apartments, not affordable for any of the current residents that I know of, especially since a lot of older retired people are on very limited incomes. It feels like maybe we're being pushed out. Where will the current tenants go? I don't have an answer to that one yet. I brought that up at the last board meeting. We are still in a pandemic. I work at a healthcare professions university, specifically for the medical college, and my dean is an ER doc who's very on top of this. So hopefully you're going to find him a place to live, because I know for a fact that there aren't places open. The current businesses, I did ask, where are they going to go? Are they going to operate elsewhere in Villa Park? Are they going to be offered a space? And what about the people employed at those businesses? Are they just going to be out of work for 2 years while they're building their happy building? And just to let everybody know, I'm not real impressed with all this fanciness, because it does nothing for me. And then I find out you're planning on closing the Jefferson Pool and the Iowa Community Center somewhere down the line. The Iowa Community Center hadn't been there. I wouldn't have been able to leave work at 4:55, pick up my kids from after-school care before 5:30, dinner before 6, and to a sports class by 6:30, 7 o'clock. It really helped after their father died, and having the pool close by, too. Many children of working parents can walk to either place because they can't wait for their parent to get home. So I also want to remind the village, failed development in Lombard, St. Charles and Grace across from Paradise Bay. It was supposed to be 2 big fancy buildings there. There's only one, big empty field and a big parking lot.
30 seconds.
So we need to make sure that we get something back, not just a lot of noise and a lot more traffic. Anybody who says that people who live by the tracks aren't going to own cars is wrong. I know people who have lived in the city, couples, both of them had cars, and there needs to be more parking for all their guests, because our little block has actually only 6 legal spaces. Thank you.
Next one is Bob Wagner regarding 8B.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll be very brief. I don't want to be redundant. A lot has been said about Project 8B. I'm here to speak in support of it for many reasons, one of which is it's going to be a net zero energy building. They'll be taking advantage of the property assessed clean energy. And I had a conversation with a number of friends that live in Lombard in close proximity to similar projects, multi-story apartment buildings, and there has been no detrimental effects to the neighborhood. This is not something new. It's happened in many other communities, and I think this will be a catalyst for the area. I was part of the group that looked at creating that transit-oriented development area. And I think we've been talking about this for some time. It's not a new idea, and I think it'll be a benefit to the community and the village as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, next is Reed Goodrich.
Hi, my name is Reed Goodrich, and I'm going to make some references to the last meeting that we had here on the 8th. And that similar to others, I would add my concern about who's keeping track of the money. And let's be honest, no matter what else is said or drawings displayed, it's all about the money. At that time, I asked a question about whether or not the village needed, new fire equipment, for the building. And really, part of that was to make a point that, if the village were to have to come up with, $700,000 plus, where would that come from? Because anything that out of the real estate taxes, of which a village gets about 8.5%, not including the pensions, I don't see, where the village would have that, and so the taxpayers would ultimately wind up having to pay for that. Any financial projections for whatever the project would clearly not hold up. The people in the village who are making these decisions have no risk, and neither do the schools, who will receive a windfall. The schools receive more than 70% of the RE taxes, of which District 45 receives the most by far and never seems to have enough. Another lady asked about loopholes. I assume there is an agreement with Hawthorne, and is there any kind of performance criteria protection for the village if something goes wrong? Has anyone other than those connected to the village reviewed it? And about the financial projections. A fellow last week asked about the veracity of the numbers, and I think it's a good question. Have they been double checked, or does the village believe everything the developer tells them? If this proceeds, I hope the board remains on top of the budget issues. If more questions had been asked years ago, perhaps the village would not be stuck with Tyler's gas station. I would add that at the June 8th meeting, members of the zoning committee spoke during the comments. I would think their work on the committee would preclude them from additional comments. Their report is their work and their position on the matter. My best analogy is electioneering. You've had your say, then step aside for the rest of the public. It was clearly not disclosed that these fellows were not arm's-length participants. And the same applies to the village plumbing inspector, with whose voice is he speaking?
30 seconds.
What's that?
30. 30 seconds.
You might as well, with all respect to Mr. Burke, you might as well ask him to come up here and state his opinion. You know what it's going to be. And it seems like stacking the deck. And that's not fair to the rest of us.
Okay, the next person is Lindsay, I'm not sure if the last name was printed out totally, Hahn? E. Hahn? Don't know who that is. Lindsay? Okay.
I signed up for Lindsay. She's going to be here in just a moment.
Okay, Judy Mitchell, 8B.
Hi. I live on Princeton behind the stores. Mr. Cazone was by my house when he was running for office, and I showed him the stores behind my house, the mess it is all the time. He said he'd ask them to come and check it out. They supposed to did. He stopped at my house again. said it would be cleaned up. It's still a mess. If the village can't police or make the people who own the property keep that up, how are they going to keep it up for a building as giant as this one is going to go in? Thank you.
Okay, Lindsay Hahn? Okay, are you Lindsay?
I'm Lindsay.
Okay, yes, go
Yes.
ahead.
Sorry, I have a little
It's okay, go
back
ahead.
issue right now. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Elton. I am the president of Eco Achievers. We will be doing the certification for the project. I just wanted to thank everyone here and thank you, the council, for allowing me to speak on this. The passive house certification that this project is pursuing is one of the most, if you hadn't heard about it before, is one of the most stringent and highest bars that you can get for energy efficiency. It is the path, one of the chosen paths for net zero attainment. And both the building itself and the units, the residents, and all of the occupants that come in it will experience energy efficiency and durability and comfort to the highest level. And this project isn't just stopping there, it's going another step above, and it's also pursuing Ngbs certification, which is the National Green Building Certification. If anyone's familiar with LEED certification, it's a comprehensive, Ngbs is akin to LEED in that it's a comprehensive sustainability program that has a multitude of green categories such as water, materials, energy, indoor air quality. So it's really, this project is really attempting to push the bar and give the most to everyone that lives there, to the community. And this project will be the largest passive house project in the country. So it's really putting the town in this area, you know, on the map, so to speak. And it's so exciting as a building professional, as an energy professional, to work on a project of this stature. It's incredible. They're really pushing the bar. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank Dr. Vish and the team. We're so excited to be a part of this, and we're so excited to be supporting you and everyone who lives in the village. Thank you.
Okay, Mike Noonan, 8B.
Good evening. My name is Mike Noonan. I'm a land use attorney at Foley & Lardner. I have an address at 321 North Clark Street, Unit 3000, Chicago. I'm here representing the developer, Hawthorne Development Corporation. And as you may know, we're not doing a formal presentation today, but I would like to address the board just in this short window for public comment. First of all, on behalf of Hawthorne and everyone on our team, we want to thank the village and staff especially for working with us. We've had a really robust dialogue and, you know, really worked hard on taking staff's recommendations and making this project the best that it could be ever since, you know, from the first comments we've gotten up until now. We're really just excited to bring a high quality market rate development to this area. I have the laundry list of amenities. I'm sure you've heard me read it all before. I'm not going to do it again, but they're pretty great. You know, there's a lot of things, you know, when a developer looks at a project, there are a lot of things that they look at in terms of community benefits. And this developer has chosen to contribute a sustainable net zero project that is going to have a great long-term impact on the community. There's going to be great amenities for the residents here. There's also going to be, you know, state-of-the-art, high-tech energy efficiency, comfort and health for the residents here. And this is also going to provide a great amount of economic development for the village and doing something which the village comprehensive plans call for, which is activating a rail corridor. And these have been part of the village's plans for years now, and this is a project that will activate that corridor. That's what transit-oriented development, or TOD, is all about. So thank you for your consideration, and thank you.
Okay, Justin Schlinsky. Justin wants to speak to 8B and 8C.
Good evening. Justin Schlinsky, 436 North Fulton. As to 8B, which is Hawthorne Development or Garden Station, I see a few very positive facets about this project. I see the foreseeable financial benefit, visual improvements in the area. It's the first of likely several developments, so somebody has to be the first to pave the way. They're just going to be the first. There's also, as we've already heard, considerable environmental developments that are very encouraging for the village. I wasn't able to add this to my comments last Tuesday, I was time barred, but regarding the concerns about the surrounding area, flooding and stormwater concerns, I'm not sure if it's allowable, but I'd like to propose consideration at board level that the taxable revenue generated by the development be earmarked for use of maintenance upgrades and repairs in the surrounding area, thus giving back to the community in those immediate surrounding areas that are facing the flooding and stormwater issues that they've indicated. As for 8C, as I mentioned at the last board meeting, I don't support in full individually. However, I do support the annexation of PIN 0603107006 into Villa Park. Likewise, I support anyone that's willing to annex into Villa Park of currently unincorporated Dupage County. Thank you.
Okay, Joe Amori regarding 9A.
Good evening. I'm Joe Amori. I live at 309 East Maple Street in Villa Park. I serve as a volunteer as a chair of the village's Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee of the Environmental Concerns Commission. I recently found out that the pending Maple Area Improvement Project failed to take into consideration the addition of sidewalks along Maple Street between Summit and Illinois. I penned a letter after taking a poll of the neighbors on that street, asking that before the resolution went to a vote for awarding of a contract, that the consideration would be to add curb and gutter and the sidewalks in this stretch. In a matter of explanation, I'm going to read the letter that was sent to the village president, the trustees, and the public works. Greetings to all. In the spring of 2018, the Village of Villa Park adopted a bicycle and pedestrian master plan. Page 14 of the plan reads as follows. Villa Park Station Area Plan. This plan, produced by HNTB, proposes several pedestrian improvements around Villa Park's Metro Station, including installing sidewalks on Maple Street and Illinois Avenue, installing paver crosswalks, pedestrian scale lighting, a pedestrian tunnel under the railroad tracks, and other streetscaping and wayfinding elements. Recent conversations with public works officials found that this vital consideration was not included in the proposal let out for bid for the project, even though a petition from the residents of East Maple Street between Illinois and Summit Avenues was submitted to the village board over a year ago that sidewalks and curb and gutter be included when improvements were made to this section of Maple. On June 8th, I polled residents at the following addresses, which are included in the letter. Basically every house on that street except one that was vacant and one where I could, after multiple attempts, I never found the resident at home who may have been away on vacation. I polled them and asked if they would like sidewalks and curb and gutter included, even if a sidewalk was only added to one side. Their responses were in the affirmative with some suggestions. Their concerns focused on pedestrians in the street, including students going to corner bus stops, improper drainage, on-street parking creating muddy conditions, and pedestrians at risk at night.
30 seconds.
There were also concerns of healthy parkway trees being removed. The Bike and Pedestrian Transit Subcommittee recommends that the bid be amended to include the adoption of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Advisory. This is also the appropriate time to comply with the Complete Streets Policy, which now, especially now that federal and state infrastructure funds may be available. Out of respect to the fact that 3 board members were not present when this was all considered, And under the guidance of our new president, we hope that you reconsider this proposal before taking a final vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's all that
That's
I
all?
have for signed up, yes.
Okay. Do we have any more comments at all on agenda items? State your name, sir.
Al Boltice, 1100 Oakland. Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight. I just want to point out a few things. I've been involved with this project for a number of years, since about 2005. When we started out with some steering committees about what the residents of the Villa Park would like to see in the around Ardmore Avenue by the train station. Now that steering committee consisted of some staff members, business owners in the area, property owners in the area, and residents in the area. And one of the parts of that steering committee was town hall meetings, which were held at the Iowa Community Center, where residents could come to the meeting and see plans, pick out building facades, what they would like to see in the area, and to make their suggestions on any changes or anything that they would like to see there. So there was a fair amount of public participation at that time. And basically this building, as you see it, is in the same place and in the same style that the residents at that time picked out that they would like to see in that area. Now, you know, the board knows probably about in 2009, we had a developer called Golden Spike, which was looking to build basically the same thing in that area. Again, we had some public hearings on that at that time, but for some reasons, I believe probably he wasn't able to get the financing that he needed for the project. Even though the board voted for it to go ahead, it did come to a standstill and has sat the way it is right now since that time. Well, so you also know that at about that same time, a TIF area was made to help finance this project. TIF areas only last for 23 years, and even with that 23-year TIF, that developer was not able to gather the financing he wanted. So I think right now we probably have about 13 years left on that TIF, and with that 13 years, this developer has been able to come up with a financing in a number of ways to finance this project. So now with the interest rates as low as they are, I don't know when we're ever going to see these current interest rates and the commitments he has for green buildings and the like. So it's almost sort of like the planets are all in a line for something like this to happen. I don't know when we're going to get this type of an opportunity again in that area. So just to make it real quick, basically the question tonight is, do you like what you have over on Ardmore by the train station now? Do you want to see something new, something different, which would hopefully bring other businesses into the area across Ardmore Avenue, the other side? That TIF district where the money would go goes all the way to Harvard Avenue, so it's a pretty good sized area.
I know
I
could
go on all night.
I got to cut you.
But it is a little more intimidating on this side of the podium.
Good evening, I'm Mike Canuco. I spoke last week under your 8C. Last week, everything was tabled until today, so you can look at the old transcripts of the planning and zoning. Since that time, I don't know if if you have done that, but I believe if you have looked at that transcript, there is a lot of emotion in that transcript. And the people who testified were not residents of Villa Park, they're residents of Dupage County. And it's an unincorporated area. And the people here, they fear change. There's a lot of emotion. The bigger the change, the bigger the emotion. And what we have done is try to give a plan to the Villa Park to have my client be able to be annexed in and granted the zoning. And he's bringing in improvements. When you have small improvements that you can make to the property that people are going to do, and you can control those improvements, it's better for everybody. It's better for the village, it's better for the homeowners. Now, my client has gone out and, unbeknownst to me, has taken pictures of the surrounding area. Remember, this is as I say before, a area in transition. And he's got where everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, that would be a misstatement. Many people are using their property already for commercial purposes. We got trucks, they're storing bricks, they've got different things parked in their garage, they've got right next to my client's property. The idea that my client wants is to bring a good project into Villa Park. He wants to come in, he wants to be annexed, and then be able to build a very nice facility for that. That's change. But by having Villa Park work on this slowly, it's going to bring improvements to everybody. It's going to bring in the sewer and water. It's going to bring in increased property values for the people around it, especially when you get on sewer and water. So there are great benefits to be brought into this. And when I say where people fear change and they see that fear their property values going down, that's not the case.
30 seconds.
I thank you. And when you see this, and I think when the board actually looks at what you're looking at, this is going to be a great boon, because this whole area is unincorporated, residential, in the master plan as commercial. So if we start slowly, have my client come in, put in the project that he has in there, have to bring in the amenities that he can bring in, not only is this going to benefit Villa Park, it's going to benefit all of those other people there. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more? Nope.
Hi, John Osing, 644 North Villa Avenue.
Could you please sign in? Please sign in.
Sorry. I'm a resident of Villa Park at the corner of Villa and Manor, across the street from the area, under discussion for annexation. And the amenities that are discussed are possible, but they're definitely not guaranteed. I can tell you yesterday that I heard an impact wrench going most of the day. I can tell you that there are mechanical works that happen 7 days a week at the area across the street, and we hear them, though we're separated by a good couple of 100 feet. And you know, we moved in, and that area was already there, and we don't make complaints, but we're also not looking to have that brought to our doorstep. From across the street from us, we have some neighbors who use their properties the way they use them. I'm not concerned about that. Definitely don't feel emotional towards it, but I do feel that I don't need to have that experience closer to me in my house. When we had a discussion on this a couple of years back, the issue was raised of truck access off Manor, and at the time I felt, and still do feel, that any opportunity to put an entrance there guarantees additional traffic and guarantees, frankly, some abuse of the system, because I see abuse of the system now all the time. I see trucks that turn onto Manor. It's very difficult for me, because even though I'm Villa Park, I have to call Dupage County to enforce that, and it's not going to become any more clear. I don't know. But that is an issue for us, is that we're definitely hoping not to have something impacting our Sunday afternoon, because this was allowed to proceed. Thank you.
Good evening, Mike Orlowski, resident of Villa Park since 1965. I'm here to talk about 8B. I think the village, the departments within the village, the commissions, And many residents from that area have done their due diligence, their homework, for a project of this nature. I look at the issues as far as if it's a severity of flooding in that area, then if you drove by today, the storm drains wouldn't be covered with debris because the residents probably would have unclogged them so that the water could go away. We can all sit and think of excuses all the time on why not to do something and choose the easy ones to do that with, but we really need to move forward as a village for a project like this. It would benefit many new residents and many residents that live here now. Like I said, we've done the planning since started back in 2005. I'm in favor of the project, and I hope the board votes it the same way. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no more comments, we will move on to amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments requested tonight? Seeing none, we will move to item 5, appointments to board and commissions. Tonight, we have 3 people that are coming up for the Community Pride Commission. Mary Brunner-Hintz, June 14th, 2021 to April 30th, 2024. Eliza Dieterich, June 14th, 2021 to April 30th, 2024. And Kathy Halloran, June 14th, 2021 to April 30th, 2023. And these are all new appointees. And for the Economic Development Commission, we have J.P. Hochbaum, June 14th, 2021 to April 30th, 2024, and this is also a new appointment. Do we have a motion to accept these?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Corkery?
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Kumar? Any questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Salella?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Move on to item 6. We have a joint presentation tonight by the Environmental Concerns Commission and the Community Pride Commission regarding a recap of the 2021 spring sweep.
Sorry.
Good evening. Justin Schlensky.
Tracy Gabriel. Leslie Ellison, CI.
Good evening, and thank you for having us. Collectively, the 3 of us, along with our trustee liaisons of our respective commissions, the Community Pride Commission, Environmental Concerns Commission, and our recent partnership and collaboration on Spring Sweep 21, which is the 3rd Spring Sweep that Villa Park has hosted. Before we go into details and recap our successful 2021 event, we want to thank President Kazone, Manager Keener, and the board for their continued support. In addition, we owe a large thanks to Amy and Gabby of the village, Trustee Murphy, then Trustee Cheryl Tucker, Bob Wagner, who was a trustee during the time of the planning and execution of the event, also liaison to the Environmental Concerns Commission, Rich Salerno in the Public Works Department, Chief Rivas and Villa Park Police Department, Fire Department, Roy Strom, and Ken Jacobson for running the monthly electronic recycling as always, CERT, and the great high school volunteers that we had this year. But most importantly, we'd like to thank the residents that have utilized Spring Sweep to provide the organizations that partner with us to provide them with the items that they've collected and recycled. We had a great turnout this year considering that Spring Sweep 2021 took place only roughly 6 months after 2020 Spring Sweep, which was actually in the fall. And also considering the rain that we had in the late morning hours of 2021. Overall, our event brought in close to 300 cars. Also this year had the best student volunteer turnout since this event began. We had close to a dozen, and if getting adolescents involved in community services and events isn't part of what every commission's goal should be, then I think we all need to reevaluate ourselves and our priorities, because instilling a drive in our youth to make the village better and cleaner is an extremely positive value that we should all continue to share.
Additionally, we received very positive response from the volunteers and the Villa Park residents that participated in the event. We even had some people come back twice, learning that they could bring back other items. the vendors and participations to collect and recycle. For those that attended and or volunteered, you know that we revised the traffic pattern. Justin and I spent a good afternoon trying to revise that sucker and got it going pretty well. Split the eastern section of Home Avenue into 2 lanes based upon the items that they had in their car to donate or recycle. This traffic attributed to the success of the shortened bottlenecks that we had going on in previous years. Idling in line, and a lot of thanks to Public Works and their view and implementation of such, that made our jobs a lot easier that day. That's you.
Sure. Our vendors, or rather collectors this year, included Roy Strom, Earth Paint, Flat Can Recycling, Tri-Town YMCA, Working Bikes, Interstate Batteries, PA Crimson for fire extinguishers and the VFW, the Villa Park Lions Club, Scarce and Simple Recycling, along with our usual electronics recycling on the 3rd Saturday of every month. We wanted to take a short amount of time to share some of the results that we have with you regarding what we brought in this year. Ladies.
You're first. Yeah, this is your part. Go ahead.
Should we do the drum roll? Should we do the drum roll? Can I do the drum roll? Okay. So here, we wanted to take a short amount of time to say what we brought in through sweep this year, spring sweep. So the first thing was 1,236 pounds of clothing and housewares for simple recycling.
58 boxes of books, 3 boxes of school supplies, 1 box of records, which I think should be a lot higher because we should get more of those back.
Yes.
3 boxes of cords and wires, 2 boxes of CD and DVDs, 7 boxes of ink toner cartridges for Scarce, which was more than Scarce ever collected in spring sweep in the fall of 2020. So it sounds good that we're collecting those items.
500 gallons of paint for Earth Paint.
That's a lot of paint. That's a lot of paint. A lot of the items for the Villa Park Lions Club included 400 pairs of glasses, over 100 print cartridges, 9 sets of hearing aids, 61 and a lot of aluminum pop tops and keys.
For the VFW, we collected 81 large U.S. flags, 49 small U.S. flags, 2 U.S. Marine Corps flags, and 1 Republic of Ireland flag, which was a lot better than we did in 2020.
For a flat can, one of our new collectors, they took in 66 cans, roughly 25.5 pounds.
And as for recycling, electronics recycling, we weighed in at approximately 88,000 pounds, or 88. Well, I was optimistic. All right. 8,800 pounds, or 4.4 tons.
And then for paper shredding, we had approximately 9,300 pounds, or just under 5 tons of shredded paper. Guess we have a lot of documents to shred.
Our commissions look forward to the village's board and staff's continued support for future events. And as a last nugget of information we'll provide is that our prospective date for the Spring Sweep 2022 is Saturday, May 21st from 9 a.m. to noon. The best way to learn more about the Community Pride Commission and the Environmental Concerns Commission and the activities that we have when we're not planning and executing a spring sweep is to come to one of our commission meetings. We're always looking for volunteers for upcoming events and for additional commission members.
The Community Pride meets on the 4th Thursday of the month at 5 p.m. right here in this back room.
For Tuesday, right?
Oh, yeah, Tuesday. Missed that. Sorry, Justin. And then the Environmental Concerns meets on the 4th Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. right here in the big room. The Community Pride is also very active on the Facebook page. You can learn more information about each of the vendors and organizational partners for Spring Sweep on their Facebook page. Leslie's going to be very busy posting about them. And just search for Villa Park Community Pride Commission on the Facebook page.
Sorry for the typo. Thanks again for your support and allowing us to present today. And I also believe that Bob Wagner, the new chair of the Environmental Concerns Commission, has a few words as well.
Thank you. I'll be very brief. Just want to, in 2019, when this started, this was the brainchild of Teresa Bauer, who is the former chairperson of the Community Pride Commission. So just want to recognize her, and I also want to recognize two members of the Environmental Concerns Commission, Commissioner Sandy Hill and Commissioner Ellen Jerkonis, who have both participated in Spring Sweep for the last 3 years. Also want to recognize Kay McKean and Aaron Kennedy from Scaris. They were a great help at the beginning when we were planning this event. Kay remarked to me that there are now close to 40 such recycling extravaganzas around the state. So this has really taken off. And in fact, there are other spring sweeps around the country. So I'm looking forward to, as the new chairperson for the Environmental Concerns Commission, I'm looking forward to continuing the great partnership that our two commissions have and making this event even better. And I want to thank outgoing chairperson Justin Schlensky for his great service over the last couple years. He's going to remain on the commission, but I want to thank him for his service. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Oh, go.
Saying that you are our liaison for community pride, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I just said, give my kudos out to both commissions, and the good thing about it is I think we're starting to get to the point where different commissions are working together instead of doing your own little things together or just alone, that we're starting to work together. And I think that's a great thing for the village. It helps everybody out, helps all the residents out.
Wait till you see what's coming up for Halloween.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Okay, we will move along. Item 7, the consent agenda. The minutes from the board meeting held on May 24th, 2021, and the special meeting held on June 8th, 2021. And 7B, the bill listings for the weeks of May 31st, 2021, and June 7th, 2021, in the amount of $766,974.62. Do we have a motion?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Patrick, motion. We have a second?
I'll second that.
Trustee Murphy. Okay, any questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, move on to ordinances. Item 8A, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, establishing temporary executive powers pursuant to Chapter 8, Article 3, Sections 8-301 through 308 of the Villa Park Municipal Code, 65 ILCS 5/11-1-6 of the Illinois Municipal Code, and 20 ILCS 3305-11 of the Illinois Emergency Management Act. And this ordinance extends the temporary executive powers contained in Ordinance 4225, approved by the Village Board on May 24th, 2021, until such time that the Village Board can reconvene in an open meeting. And we have a motion for the ordinance.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Solella, we have a second?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that second.
Trustee Patrick, have any comments? Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I'm interested in learning now that we've changed into a new phase of the COVID. How much longer will we see a need to continue to put this on the agenda?
Yeah, we'll keep this until,
Wait, we're going to do the,
pardon me? Okay, well, I'll let our attorney. Yeah, go ahead.
the proposal is that we would add a code section to our ordinance so that if and when there's a declaration, disaster declaration, pandemic declaration by the state of Illinois, the governor, the county, in such a case that the mayor would automatically, village president, have extensive emergency powers, but only until the next regular meeting of this board. So the idea would be that in our code book, we would have a section that if there's a disaster, the village president can act, but only until the board can come together. And so then we can stop doing this and we would be prepared for the next one. And I will be presenting that to you for the next agenda.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I do.
Yes, trustee Kozak.
These emergency powers that we're granting, when are they being used? Do we know, is there any sort of reporting where somebody comes back and says, we used our emergency powers to do X, Y, and Z?
Yes. If you read the ordinance closely, those emergency powers only exist to the next regular meeting. So
Right.
that if there had been any active usage of an emergency power, it would at the next regular meeting have to have been approved by this village board. Never happened, thank God.
That's was my
Yes,
follow-up, because
yes.
I've never heard it. So I'm
Correct.
assuming it's never been used.
Fortunately.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Okay, trustee Murphy.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Silella.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to item 8B, ordinances of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a zoning map amendment to mixed-use TOD District MX-1, granting a special use for planned unit development and a plat of vacation. Mr. Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The applicant is seeking to construct a high-quality mixed-use development consisting of 348 residential units, a residential amenity space, a ground floor commercial space, and approximately 440 parking spaces. In order to facilitate the proposed project, it will be necessary to acquire a portion of the existing Metro lot west of North Beverly and north of Terrace Street owned by the village and swap it with parcels the applicant is acquiring on the east side of Beverly to construct a public parking lot. The plat of vacation will permit the use of unneeded public right-of-way for the proposed development. As proposed, the development would add density and create vibrancy with new residents, commuter, and community activity. The project is consistent with the goals and objectives of the North Ardmore, Vermont TIF District and Comprehensive Plan, which call for a compact, mixed-use pedestrian-oriented activity node. This item satisfies the long-term complex strategic plan goal, foster the completion of a successful redevelopment in the entire TOD area. School District 45 and School District 88 both approved intergovernmental agreements to support this project. At the May 13th, 2021 public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended unanimous approval of the request. Minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting are attached. Village staff concurs with the P&Z Commission and recommends approval. A special meeting was held on June 8, 2021 to discuss the proposed project. Discussion included project components, long-range strategic planning, project public meetings, stormwater management, traffic management, resident concerns, solution to address resident concerns, and project support. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, do we have a motion on the amendment?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, trustee Patrick, do we have a second? I'll second. Trustee Solella? Okay, any questions or comments on the ordinance? Okay, seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Oh.
Mr. President. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have one comment on the ordinance. I do feel this is overall going to be beneficial to the Villa Park area. However, I think communication is the key with many of our residents. I feel that I hope that the village will be more proactive in communication and set up a communication plan, only because in the interim it does displace the lives of many of our residents, and we need to come up with a plan for that. This is not so much on the builder side; it's more or the ordinance we're talking about today, but for future communication so that people's lives are normalized. There are issues, there will be issues, some issues of traffic in the interim. It is a long-term project and communication is the key.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. That ordinance passes. Okay, go on to 8C, Ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, annexing PIN number 06-03-107-006, located at 17W 479 Manor Lane. Rezoning of PIN number 06-03-107-006 from DuPage County zoning in the R4 district to the Villa Park M1 Light Industrial District. Consolidation to one lot and a special use to allow outdoor equipment and material storage. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village received a request from a property owner located on Manor Lane seeking annexation into Villa Park. This annexation includes a request to consolidate lots into one, a request to rezone a .79 acre parcel on the south side of Manor Lane, west of Villa Avenue from R4 in unincorporated DuPage County to M1 in Villa Park, and a request for a special use to allow outdoor equipment and material storage. The petitioner purchased this property with the intent to relocate a concrete business to this location and construct a new building for the business. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended 5-2 to deny the request. Minutes from the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting are attached. This item satisfies the long-term routine strategic plan goal, explore, evaluate, and determine board policy on annexation of unincorporated areas. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, trustee Kozar, do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Solella. Okay, questions or comments?
I got a comment.
Okay,
Mr.
trustee
President.
Slow.
To address our resident here about noise, which he's been experiencing. I asked a question of this developer at our last meeting with this on the agenda, specifically for the amount of noise that will be generated from that building in regards to repairs of vehicles, trucks, equipment, whatnot. And I was assured that that would not happen. It's not that type of facility. Just so you know, I did ask that question. I was assured of it not being the case. So I just want to let you know that.
Okay. Anyone else? Trustee Kumar.
Currently, I do not see the true benefits of this annexation. There's really not much of input from actual Manor Hill residents and the residents in that area. The proposal actually, to me, puts a commercial space between two residential spaces, which I do not feel is ideal in any form. I have a couple of questions to ask of the board and the person the petitioner. Did the petitioner make an effort to search for commercial properties within the Villa Park area that would meet the needs that of his business at present to grow? I'm not sure if he did or just went ahead and bought that property behind where he bought it. Is a question, and I have a question for those who oversees the decisions of Manor Hill as a unincorporated area. Do you know that?
The county has full jurisdiction over there.
Okay,
so the police, fire, any community development or ordinances or anything like that, the community handles that.
Okay, and has the county reached out to the residents? Do we have any information on that?
As far as
as far as their feelings on this particular
I don't believe so. I don't think,
annexation?
no, the county really wouldn't address us on that.
Oh, they would not give us any information on that. Okay.
Yeah. But the question for the petitioner,
Are there any residents from Manor Hill here?
this gentleman here.
Oh, near the area. He's across the street, right? Are you in the subdivision itself? The Manor Hill area?
No, he is a resident, and he's in Villa Park. He
Oh,
is
he is in
incorporated,
Villa Park.
yes.
Okay.
To answer your question, originally, my client, which is who's standing before me, Mr. Valdez, came to the village and talked to Mr. Patrick Grill when he was looking for the property. Mr. Grill, when he looked at this piece of property, said this is M1, which is in Villa Park, and the other one, what we were told, or Mr. Valdez was told, would be taken into Villa Park because it was in the master plan to be turned commercial. Based upon those statements, Mr. Valdez purchased the property. He is also trying to be a good neighbor. In my documents, he tried to buy the property next door, and I have a copy of the contract with me, and he agreed upon the price at the last minute. The gentleman said no. So we are doing everything we can to try to work with the neighbors, like I say, bringing in sewer and water. I understand there is noise, but jackhammers don't go with pouring concrete. I'm sorry. There are a lot of other businesses in the area, including a tree business, a seal coating business, a construction business, about 4 or 5 other businesses there, plus a trucking business, which is at Manor Lane and Villa. So, you know, I understand people are concerned about noise. My client is not going to do that, and we are also concerned to handle that there's not going to be a lot of noise in the repair of vehicles. If there's going to be any repair of vehicles, it will be inside the facility to be built. Does that answer your question? If there's any other questions?
Trustee Kozar.
You had some complaints from your neighbor to the east of you, but that neighbor to the east of you is not a Villa Park resident. Would you be willing to put a fence up between your property and the resident to the east of you?
We proposed that. We proposed that.
And the village could approve not only a 6-foot fence, but an 8-foot fence if they wanted to.
Absolutely. We are willing to do whatever we have to do to work with the village, including if there is issues about landscaping, to put higher trees up, to, you know, to fence off, I'll use that word, you know, the sight lines, to do what we have to do. That's why I said before, we're willing, this is a little change, we do a little bit, we work with you where you can control how what we're doing and how we're doing it.
You had said that you had certain pictures that you
Yes.
brought with you today?
Yes.
Can you just briefly describe what they are and then perhaps hand them to the village clerk so that we can review?
Sure.
It's to the west.
Okay. Why don't you take this?
So, you know, this is the neighbor to the west that, you know, complained, and he has stockpiles of bricks throughout. He owns a irrigation business, and he parks his commercial vehicles on that property also. Box trucks and so forth. Just west of him, there's the property west of him, there's a man who owns a semi, and he parks it right on his driveway, you know, on the south side of Manor Lane. And right across the street from me, there's a construction company that he parks his commercial vehicles right in front of his house. And just to the east of my property is Schroeder Construction, who owns the trucks, and it's probably the noise I was making that he's complaining about, because I'm west like 4 or 5 lots of his property.
I'm looking at a big pile of bricks right here.
That's
Is that
correct.
to the property of the
That's
west?
the property to the west, yes.
And in the property to the west, the owner of this
That's the
property, does he
irrigation
live there?
He does not live there.
Okay. You would have to bring in water and sewer to this
That's
property?
correct. That's correct.
And approximately, what do you think that would cost?
I would say at least $100,000 from the quotes that I have received.
And if you brought in water and sewer to that property, could other residents in the future, if they wanted to incorporate into Villa Park, use that?
That's correct. They would be able to tap into it. I believe at a fee from what we had spoken to the commission for the water here.
What we had proposed to be a 20-year recapture agreement for the sewer water.
Can you just explain that in just a sentence or two?
Basically, based upon half-on fees and other fees, it would repay Mr. Valdez the money that he is putting out to put the sewer water into it. So it's kind of like repaying the loan to the actual fees, water and sewage uses itself. It's very common in any type of construction.
But you would front the money for all that?
Yes.
That's correct.
There was some talk in public comments about an impact wrench going on this weekend?
I believe that's...
Was that from your property?
No, we only work Monday through Saturday. We're there at 6 in the morning, we're out of there by 6:30. We usually don't come back till about 5:30. So there's no one really there throughout the day in the facility, in the location. He's probably talking about the company Schroeder, which is right east of his property, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. That's the trucking company? Yes. Right.
There were also some comments made about the hours of operation. What would be your hours of operation?
Like I said, we get there around 6 a.m., 6 in the morning. We turn on the trucks, we load up whatever materials we need. We're out of there around 6:30, and we're usually not back till about 5:30, 4 o'clock. Park the trucks, and we're on our way home, the guys.
Would you be willing to limit your hours to what you described?
I'll be open to it.
And then I think the other comment was noise on Sundays?
We do not work on Sundays.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, thank you. Sir?
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, our Planning and Zoning Commission recommended a 5-2 to deny this request. In your opinion, why do you think a majority of that board or that commission went that direction?
There was some residents, again, one of the main guys was the man to the west, who actually was kind of, in a way, blackmailing me. He wanted me to sell the property directly behind his property. Mine's in an L shape, and he said if I didn't sell him, he was going to give me hell, and he came in here and he spoke really badly of me. But I just showed you with the pictures that his full intentions is to do the same thing as run his commercial building out of his property. He parks his trucks there, he has all materials there. The two ladies to the east, I believe their issues is more with the Schroeder company, because that's who's directly behind them. I'm not. So those were the three main residents that showed up, so.
Another question that I have is, sir, you were talking about change earlier today when you talked.
Yes.
My question for you is, if we are looking for a change, we've had plenty of residents here say that over the course of the last few years that you have made no change in attempts to help these residents with their concerns.
We haven't been there that long. We've only been there approximately 2 years, 1 year.
I believe it's 3 years now.
It'll be 3 years now. I'm getting older. We have worked with the village, with Dupage County on this. And in fact, Paul Haas, we were going to bring a petition for zoning there, and Mr. Haas said, no, bring it here, because he says as soon as we grant the change, Villa Park will bring it in. So he says, otherwise, if we get the change, we have two different commercial parcels, one in DuPage County, one in Villa Park. We want to keep these together so one jurisdiction, in this case Villa Park, has control over the whole project. Control over, like you say, the hours, the amenities. And like I say, we are willing to put whatever we can do to help the neighbors try to make their transition easier. Because as I said before, this is a transition neighborhood. And all of the, when I did my research, the other times when the county did change the zoning from residential to M1, it was incorporated into Villa Park. So that's why Mr. Haas told us to come directly here.
A lot of the residents also voiced their concern about the truck traffic on Manor itself. as a business owner, how would you propose to eliminate that from being on Manor if they are involved with your business?
Well, the north side of Manor right now is mixed. It's part commercial, part residential. It would be up to, if we do what what I believe would be proper, as I said last meeting, I was going to say last week, excuse me, is to have a one-way in, one-way out, to go back one way to Villa and then come back the other way. So there would be only traffic on the north side of Manor Lane. And that would be exactly where we're running down with the sewer and water.
There was also in the transcripts from the planning and zoning meeting where a resident claimed that they were almost run over by one of the trucks.
That's, again, that's the neighbor to the west, the man that, he said one of my drivers tried, the man's like a 60-year-old driver, he would never do something like that. You know.
The people that Mr. Valdez has working for him have a very good reputation. They're very conscientious in their work, and that's why he has been growing, and that's why he wanted to come to Villa Park. And that's the north parcel with the building and would enhance his business as well as make it better for all parties. Because you're talking about now the only very limited outside storage, which would be some gravel and some dirt. Everything else will be basically inside the building. If there's going to be any type of repairs, it's all going to be inside the building, so there will be no major noise at all.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I'd like to go on record stating that at this point in time, until I see a more finite business plan and an amicable business relationship and planning between these neighboring properties, I am not in favor of moving this forward. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question? Trustee Kozar.
I just have a follow-up. That whole incident about allegedly somebody being potentially run over, I am not aware that a police report was filed to that effect. It was merely an allegation that was brought up here at the meeting. Am I correct or incorrect about that?
I actually filed the police report. The man aggravated me and started poking me in the chest. I had a video. I took my salesman with me when the incident occurred, and my salesman went by there. I told him, turn on the video. I know the man was trying to aggravate me. He was trying to provoke me into doing something, and he started poking at me. I called the sheriffs. They went out there. They made a police report. They told him if he ever did that, that I had the right to put charges, which I did not want to do. I didn't want to, make more of a scene than I already had been, and that was it. My guy didn't get charged with anything.
Other than the gentleman right here, who is one of our residents, and I appreciate you coming and voicing your concern, the residents that came to the planning and zoning meeting, I believe they were not Villa Park residents. Were there any Villa Park residents that complained of you
No,
at
not
that
that
meeting?
I'm aware of.
And then my last follow-up question to that, will there be additional tax revenue that's brought to the village of Villa Park as a result of this annexation?
I guess, I'll be paying somewhere between $10,000 to $15,000 a year, as opposed to the $2,400 that I pay right now in taxes, property taxes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I have just a couple questions for you. First off, where would you tap sewer and water?
Off of Villa.
You'd be coming all the way down to Villa?
Yeah,
Okay.
which is about 600 feet from where my property's at.
Okay. And then, I know I've had complaints from the neighbors to the east about your trucks going eastbound on Manor.
We actually never go, I've instructed all my employees never to go east. It's
Okay.
all the other businesses that are coming east. We only go out west.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I think that definitely would help the people out there. And then you mentioned that you would have gravel piles there. How would you load those onto your trucks?
Well, I have Bobcats.
Okay.
I have Bobcats.
So those may be in use at 6 in the morning, or?
Honestly, yeah. But I can fix that, so we do it in the afternoons.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing it early in the morning.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be definitely helpful, because, although, I don't know if we have noise ordinance that would, against that.
We can agree.
We could agree that, like I said,
Yeah.
load up in the afternoons as opposed to early in the morning, so that we're not firing up a
Yeah.
bobcat.
Yeah, because it does definitely wake you up at 6 in the morning.
Again, there's already a lot of noise by the shoulder company that
Yeah.
they turn on their big equipments, and they're the ones that are actually making most of the noise.
Okay.
I could do that, though, no problem.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Salela?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, unfortunately, that does not pass, so that will, we won't be able to annex you at this time. Okay. Item number 9, resolutions. Item 9A, resolution of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, approving a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, for construction of the Maple Area Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $3,054,459.02. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village expects to receive low-interest loan funding from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for construction of the Maple Area Improvement Project. The scope of work includes the installation of new storm sewer, pavement rehabilitation, and selected improvements to the water supply and sanitary sewer systems. The project was competitively bid, with 6 bids received. A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois, submitted the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $3,054,459.02. If approved, the village would be responsible for paying for project costs and requesting loan reimbursement. The Illinois EPA will also need to review and approve the award of a contract following village board consideration. Funds will be taken from Street Improvement Fund referendum account number 60-502-03299, Water Supply Fund capital account number 82-502-02401, and Wastewater Fund separation account number 83-502-04401. Staff recommends approval of this resolution. The item satisfies the strategic short-term complex goal, continue using an aggressive infrastructure replacement development plan that covers sewers, water mains, streets, etc. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for this?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Patrick, we have a second?
I'll second it.
Trustee Corkery, any questions or comments? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I would like to ask the village management about the consideration of the sidewalks and curbs in the area.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, what we did not mention in the this particular resolution is that the bid came back very favorable to the village. In fact, I think it was about $400,000 underneath the engineer's estimate. So I've asked Director Guerrera to research what we can add back in as a contingency, as a change order, and possibly would be the sidewalks, etc. And I don't know if, Your Honor, if you'd like Director Guerrera to speak to this topic at this time?
I definitely would. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. To speak further on Manager Keener's statement, yes, the bids did come back favorable. This project does include a large area, so that we will be evaluating the project continually as the project advances to see what savings can be made and where different components can be added. Maple was originally rural section. That means no curb and gutters, ditch drainage, and no sidewalks. And I guess it was previous practice to kind of put back what's there. So that's why it was not included originally, but we are looking at any savings to advance the additional infrastructure in this project.
Just for clarification, does that mean we can do this or not?
So there's a possibility. I think some of the concerns is the parkway trees in that section. Those section of the trees would have to come out in order to facilitate sidewalks through there. Curb and gutters, drainage was not originally designed, so there's some additional components. Obviously, when we put a shovel in the ground, we never know what we're going to expect. We do our best to plan for as many contingencies as possible. And so it will come down to more of a policy depending as we move forward. You know, if we have other change orders that have to be necessitated because of the need to get the improvement completed in the original scope, you know, new sewer separation with new storm sewers, there's some water main, other construction. We would have to evaluate that. I just hate to say yes and then go way over budget at the very end because we've added curbs, gutters, sidewalks. I'm going to encounter other problems as we go along.
My next question then is, we had a bike and pedestrian plan that was created. Why haven't we utilized that going forward with a project like this then?
This project was previously designed before I got here, so I cannot answer that fully. I mean, obviously now, moving forward, we evaluate a lot of those aspects of those plans to be included. Like I said, I know the previous, I don't want to say policy, I can't, kind of the procedure that was used prior was to replace what was there back into new. And therefore, because in a lot of our locations prior, like if new sidewalk goes in, that's 50-50 with the residents participate in a lot of those aspects. So the previous determination was to leave it rural, and that's how the plans were designed. But moving forward, obviously we do have a bike and pedestrian plan to be looked at in cooperation with a lot of our projects.
Is it possible of the village to request new bids for a project that would include the sidewalks and curbs?
We would risk losing the IEPA loan at this time.
Okay.
Due to the just to be honest with the time frame to redesign, redo that, there is component time frames that go to the IEPA. Then we risk going outside that window, and when we're outside that window, a lot of times they'll backfill with other projects, jeopardizing funding that we would be in line for.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah.
Trustee Kumar.
Okay, I understand the IEPA loan, but what about possibilities if the full budget doesn't come through of retrofitting some of these things after the project is complete?
That can be achieved. That would have to go through the change order process, which we were willing to consider at this time.
So will you then be maximizing the use of the funds to do as much as possible and then retrofit possibly the rest where it's not as needed? Is that the plan?
I think we're on the same page, yes. Yeah. So obviously we want to facilitate the design fully, the separation, the rehabilitation of the roadway. And then as we have additional savings, if everything goes according to plan, we have $400,000 remaining in our budget. We would look to infill with additional sidewalk, additional improvements such as curb and gutters where we can in that project.
Yeah, because
obviously Maple would be the first priority in that area.
Maple is pretty bad. I've been down there. So this is, it's just hard to even park on, and as residents, we want to be able to access all our streets as residents. So north, south, east, west, we need to be parking there just like everybody else. That's how we make friends. So definitely, at least we need, I feel at least a payment needs to come in that area. Sidewalks are possibly retrofittable, so you need to take steps and have a plan of action depending on pricing.
Yeah, I guess to bring up, so the majority of all the roads in this area will be reconstructed, or at the very minimum, we will resurface. We'll mill off the bad surface and put back new surface. So all the pavement will be rehabilitated in the project zone.
I'm talking mainly about curbs. The curbs are absolutely gone there. There's nothing there, or never were there, according to you. So that's, you know.
Well, I think that's what he said, though, that a lot of the areas had no curbs to begin with, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, that one block of Maple was never curbed and guttered to begin with, yes, correct.
Okay. Trustee Corcoran.
So there are parts of the Maple area improvement project that do have sidewalks currently, right?
Correct. I believe with Mr. Amore, probably knows better than I, but I believe from Villa down to Summit is curb and guttered with sidewalks.
And if we apply the savings to replacing sidewalks there, would that be part of the 50/50 program, or would the village pay for it?
Our current policy is this: if we have to replace as part of the construction, the village pays full cost.
Sure.
So obviously, where we cut in sanitary services, water main services, if there's parkway trees that have uprooted the sidewalk and we remove that, the village pays 100% of that cost. Any additional improvements beyond what's needed for those segments currently, our policy is that, yeah, the resident would have to pay 50/50 if they wish to upgrade them. We do cut an infill if the sidewalk's in very terrible condition. That needs to be done, so we would include that in the scope of our project.
But the sidewalks done as part of this, if they are done, would not be part of the 50/50?
Any additional locations that, it's kind of hard to explain, so any additional locations that we don't take out for our own reason for the construction would be 50/50. There's good portions that the village will do because of, like I said, we'll have to cut through the sidewalk to get the water main service back to the valve box, the Buffalo box, B box, different terms. Or with the sanitary service, when we separate the sewers, obviously, a lot of times we run into the people's laterals where we replace those laterals because we've altered them.
Mhm.
And then that requires us to tear out sidewalk, or the trees have uprooted the sidewalk. So those we do as part of our project, and we don't require. Any additional above and beyond, a lot of times you might have 50, 60 feet of sidewalk through it. The resident has the option to participate. It's not mandated, but they then can participate to improve the remainder.
So just doing a blanket, all the sidewalks in the improvement area, that's not on the table? Or?
We would not have the budget frame to do that. With the current, how the program was set up in the budget frame, budget allotment, we would not have the ability to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. President, one last question.
Go ahead, Trustee Page.
Thank you. At what point or what phase of this project will we know if we can have a change order to implement having the curbs and sidewalks in this area?
My best estimate would probably once we complete the underground.
Okay.
Once we complete the sewer, water improvements and start getting into road construction, would probably be the best known because we've encountered everything underground. The roads are pretty defined. It's pretty finite, the amount of curb, amount of pavement and all that that is needed. It's usually the conflicts underground that you can't see is usually what cost a lot of times the change orders.
Okay. I just ask that you keep the board informed as that process goes along, so that way we know if a change order could be expected or not.
We will definitely do that.
Yeah, and definitely we can keep the residents there informed as the project, moves along.
Yes, we've been
Kinda keep
advising
going on.
our policy to have our sub-consultants who oversee the projects for us keep in contact if they sign up for the email address. We do encourage all residents to sign up through Code Red. A lot of times that's how we communicate water shutdowns, construction zone road closures. Obviously in Harvard, we're coming up with some road closures, those sort of items. And then that way we can broadcast it at any time. But we are asking our sub-consultants who do oversee the construction to either do weekly, bi-weekly sort of email communication, newsletters to the residents to kind of keep them informed of the progress of the construction.
Is there a mailer? I'm sorry.
Don't speak up.
Is there a mailer sent out anytime during this process? Like
So-
a single mailer?
Our policy currently is currently there's letters out there now, and that's our participation letter to signify that the project is coming and to allow participation with the residents. The participant being the sidewalks, sanitary sewer lateral replacement. If we're not doing it, they can elect to replace it at a greatly reduced cost. They have the option to change their driveway approach from asphalt to concrete. And then also there's ability for a stormwater stuff to go with our backyard drainage. So that is sent out in advance currently, right when we usually are out to bid. That way we can acquire those, tally them and include them to the general contractor to say this work needs to be done. And then we do some notifications with the water shutoffs But we're trying to scale back and utilize some of the technology that we have with emails and the code red to kind of keep more of the up-to-date notifications with the residents.
Within that mailer, is the code red information included?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. When do you foresee this starting? Now the bids are out.
So the EPA has several timeframes that must be met. They do have to review these bids and our loan ordinance and the whole application that we've submitted. We're resubmitting all the paperwork just so it's all there. And that will probably take them a couple of weeks. I think they have up to like 60 days to do that. And then from there, we can award. So it's kind of timing on the EPA. However, we are getting near the back end of their fiscal year, so hopefully, we're hopeful that this process goes kind of expedited. So we're hopeful that maybe in August, beginning of August, we can actually start seeing some construction work beginning.
Okay. What's the time frame on completing?
This one will probably take into next year. Just due to the size and the number of streets, we cannot get it all completed this fall.
Good.
So,
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Okay, Trustee Salello?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. With that, we will move on to public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, we have about 4 people here. Tom Delisandro, South Michigan Avenue.
Good evening. I'm Tom D'Alessandro, 843 South Michigan Avenue, Villa Park. Reason why I'm here tonight is I'm very excited about the new early childhood development center that's going to be built at Jackson. That which it just goes to show that our village is growing. It shows that the need for a facility like this. So I'm actually very happy about that. 26 years here now, so this is kind of, new milestone for me, because coming from one town for 25 years, now I'm here 26 years, so it's nice. My question is, though, there were 2 projects that which were done in the last 3 years, or we'll say within the last 4 years. Our South Michigan Avenue project, where we put in new storm sewer water and everything, that has been worked out very nicely. So I know our residents on South Michigan between Jackson and Madison have been extremely happy about that. We know that on the website it does show that the project is complete, but there is a second part to that project that which has been already bidded out, and that which is the continuation of the 6-foot sewer line, stormwater line going to Jackson Pond, that which is supposed to be, extended. They know, so I've been keeping, up to date on these things, for, last couple of years. Also, from now, we know that we did the big expansion of the retention pond by Willowbrook High School, and where that's tying in. The last time that I had asked, or last 2 times I've asked about, okay, when is this coming into play here? One time they said, well, we can't do it yet, we're waiting on some more grant money. The second time they said, well, we can't do it yet because it still needs to be trenched out because otherwise it's gonna flood the houses off of Leslie Lane there. But now, since the project, since those projects have started, we had the construction equipment out there, now things could have transformed back then, but now with the new development starting now, I noticed they brought out the new water lines that are going to go from the parking lot areas of the new building going into that retention area. So my biggest question is, now since we have all this equipment that's going to be out there again, will we be connecting that line to the Jackson Pond?
Okay, 30 seconds.
That is
Manager Keener answered that one.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I'm not mistaken, School District 45 will be doing some excavation in the detention pond because they'll be using that detention pond for their stormwater management of the new facility.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, Your Honor and Board, I think the new facility's right around 30,000 square feet, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll be excavating something around, if I'm not mistaken, 4 cubic feet. At least that's what we believe, 3 or 4 right now. That's not going to be part of our project. We are waiting for a grant through FEMA, which we've been waiting probably 20 months now. We did hear some positive news maybe 10 days ago, but nothing definite. It's a sizable grant, so we do get the grant. That project will go. It's 90% designed. Designs may have to change a little bit now that School District 45 is also utilizing the detention basin as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we knew that the District 45, had to give the approval before we can do that connection. So, but I would like, just to say that if you have all the equipment out there to, you do it at that timing makes the most sense because now you're not paying another startup fee, you're not redoing fencing, you're not doing all that. So,
You want me to cover it?
but that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So, thank you, Your Honor. But a major piece of this, and I think Your Honor and the Board's well aware that when the village excavates the detention basin, it's planned to haul away a lot of that soil. We do not have the ability to spread that soil out and level the ball fields. And so another piece of the project would be to resurface, reconstruct, is it reconstruct or resurface, Jackson? Okay, so Jackson would be resurfaced after we're done, after D45 is done, so we don't have all the truck traffic on a newly paved road, so, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, next is Joe Omori. Okay, thank you. Justin Schlinsky, zoning ordinance updates.
Good evening again, Justin Schlinsky, 436 North Fulton. So this was touched on at your last meeting, to which I think you tabled indefinitely. But I'd like to propose for the board, or for you to at least consider, placing the review of the approved planning and zoning ordinances that were approved a few months back on the agenda for your upcoming June 28th meeting. At that time, the board would have at least had 5 weeks to review, because last meeting was 3 weeks ago, to present any questions or comments that you might have had on those proposed ordinance changes. I'm not sure what the proper action would be of an off-agenda motion or some kind of retroactive amendment to tonight's agenda for you guys to consider that, to put it back on the agenda. And then just the second and last item is, are there any plans for the Brewfest 2021? Because I would love to see something to potentially even generate more local revenue, or to generate revenue for local breweries such as Lunar, Moore, and even Standard Meadery. Thanks.
Okay. Regarding the first question, our village attorney and I discussed that this afternoon, and I'll let her talk to legalese.
What would be required for the agenda is first a motion to remove it from the table. Once, if that passed, we could have on the same agenda the actual ordinance. And so, unless the motion to remove from the table is passed by a majority, we would not be able to discuss it. If it is, we will be able to discuss it. So it would be with regard to the direction as to the preparation of the agenda.
For the meeting of the 28th?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding your second question, then...
I can take it.
Oh, you can, okay. I was going to give it to Director Gola, but,
I see he's wearing a new sport coat tonight. Your Honor. He probably does want to come to the podium.
Yeah.
What I had on last. Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, staff has been discussing the Brewfest 2021. From right now, from the COVID standpoint and staffing, it's a go. At late September? Late to me.
Okay.
So yes, and of course, we're still having the Kiwanis concerts on Wednesdays in July, and then the Cortese concerts on Thursdays in August.
Fantastic.
So very busy summer.
Great.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, and then Cheryl Tucker.
Sure. Cheryl Tucker, 434 South Cornell. I just wanted to address the same thing Justin did bring up here on getting that ordinance back on the vote. What would it take to table it, to get it on table? Does it have just a motion by one of the board members to untable it at one of the meetings? Okay. Because basically, I realized that on May 24th, there was a lot of things on the agenda, and that you had to table a lot of the stuff and that was a big section on that. But I do feel it would be important to get it back on the agenda, especially because there's a lot of things involved in it. That, and not only that, the previous board, in case the previous board remembers, the reason that they put that to planning and zoning in the first place is because actually the trustee that brought it up was the person that requested the board to correct village codes and ordinances that were outdated, specifically ones concerning outdoor storage containers and outdoor seating with entertainment. Seeing he brought that suggestion up, the previous board made the request to the village staff and the planning and zoning to look into ways to correct the updated some of the village ordinances, which Planning and Zoning Commission did over several meetings. And if you notice, they did have a 7-0 vote. It's not fair to them to require them to do all that work for such a big amenda and then indefinitely table it for the simple fact that some members, it was so big that some members needed more time to read it over. So like Justin, I would like to see it untabled and put back on the ballot that date, because they should give enough time for the board members to really review all the items. I also would like to wish Janet Gorman a nice retirement. Our finance director, I believe, retires today or tomorrow.
Human HR.
HR, I'm sorry, our HR director.
Marlene's not ready
Wrong
to go.
person, okay. I apologize.
Well, she might be ready.
Yes, you could be. Wrong spot. Our HR director has retired. I wish her the best of luck in the new adventure that she is starting now. And I wanted to applaud her for her wonderful service as our HR director for so many years.
I have one more person, Tracy Gabriel.
So, just a few things, just to keep in mind. The pause in the park and clause in the park that the commission, the Pride Commission is working on is September 25th. We've moved it from the gazebo to the Lions Park. So if you're thinking about that Brew Fest, just that, we're really making that a big effort. In fact, we're trying to beat the Guinness World. Okay, I'm not allowed to talk about that. I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Ixnay on that.
Sorry, ixnay on that. Okay, sorry, I was gonna ask for help. Okay, so then the other reason I'm up here is in January you guys approved and the stop sign was put in at the corner of Myrtle and Central. It helps, but it's very confusing because there is no line painted and the intersection is not properly signed yet either. Since the stop sign has gone in, we see more people turning left the wrong way down Myrtle because they don't know where the heck to stop and they just go. We're starting to see a larger increase of people turning right on to Myrtle because you can't see the signage when you're stopped at the invisible line, because there is no line, because trees are blocking the signage. I'd like to ask the village, when you guys are going to finish doing the proper installing of that stop sign, which includes painting of some sort of line. People stop at the sidewalk or at the crosswalk, which is on the other side of the intersection, so it doesn't really help if there's no lines. So I'm just looking to see when you guys are going to finish doing that piece of it.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all. I have
That's
no
all?
one else, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask, sorry,
Sure.
can I ask
Kelly Smith, 137 North Charles. I'm always here saying, please communicate better. We got communication. Thank you very much. We're moving forward. Since we're always here complaining, I wanted to say thank you. You followed through, and we're hopeful for July breaking. No, we're not going to make it in July. We know that. But thank you. I just wanted to say that after all of our requests, we have had that. So
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I believe the village manager said that it's going out for bid this week.
Should be going out to bid before Friday.
This is for Charles Road, and in case anyone didn't know, or has missed any of the meetings in the past, hasn't seen you guys. Good. Thank you. Okay, we will move to the, unless anybody else has more comments. Okay. Village clerk's report.
Okay, well, I'm just going to report on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Villa Park that, yes, the concerts are back. We do have the 4 Wednesdays in July, and we do have our concession stand back, and that's been all approved, and we have our permit, so we're really, doing well. And so the food concession stand starts at 6 o'clock, the concert starts at 6:30, usually runs till a little bit after 8, it's, almost not quite 2 hours, hour and a half of music. But it should be really nice. Everyone's looking forward to it. Kiwanis is looking forward to it. So we welcome everyone in July evenings, Wednesday evenings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will move to the village trustees report. Tonight we will start on my left. Trustee Kumar.
I just want to say that I'm very happy that summer has come to Villa Park. You see beautiful flowers everywhere, and I want to thank Public Works for doing a great job of at least cutting the grass near the creeks near my house, and also want to thank the little girl who put the sign up on Wildwood that says, let the ducks be saved. And that's great initiatives by little girls in our neighborhood. So I want to kudos to them, and I want to say that the village of Villa Park is not a blighted village, as many were talking about at the beginning of this conversation we started today, but more a brightened village by spring sweep. So thank you all for your participation, and great job.
Thank you. Trustee Corkery.
I'd just like to say that in addition to the concerts, another event that we're going to have this year hopefully is trying to get Macbeth in the park going. So if you like some Shakespeare, some spooky stuff, lots of blood and stabbing, that'll be your thing. Or hopefully going to happen the last weekend of July. So come out and see it and enjoy.
Good, thank you. Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I just have one thing tonight. On behalf of a subset of the Villa Park residents, I would like to turn over a document that's supporting the trustee liquor license issue to be integrated into all the support documentation. I'll be handing that over to our clerk to be delivered to our liquor commission and our liquor commissioner, President Kuzo. Thank you.
Okay, we will go to our right. Trustee Kozar.
Mr. President, I'd like to address the board. Can I do so from the podium?
No? Okay, that's not.
Citizen comment. You can do it from your seat
Okay.
as a trustee.
All right. So I'd like to address the board on the meeting that was held and concluded today and give them some insight as to what transpired, and everybody who's out here and watching from home. So earlier today, we finished a 2-day hearing investigating whether my alcohol sales were incidental to my food sales. The whole premise is unique to Villa Park because the state of Illinois says it's okay to be a trustee and hold a liquor license. You just can't vote on liquor-related items. Not in Villa Park. We have an outdated ordinance that should be changed, that must be changed. Every rule must have a reason. So we had a hearing, and a hearing's about facts. I was called before a tribunal with no violation, with no probable cause. This is analogous to going to traffic court because you own a car, then having to prove that you haven't been speeding ever, ever or anywhere. I'm also told that nobody submitted a written complaint against me, to which they've signed their name alleging that I don't sell enough food or cheese curds, for that matter, No one's willing to put their name on a formal complaint. Why? Perhaps that might subject them to civil harassment suit. Just speculating. It's the usual suspects complaining. Christine Murphy, Tracy Gabriel in attendance at both meetings. Nothing better to do on a Monday afternoon. Villa Park Ordinance 4221 states that a trustee may be granted a liquor license. I already hold a liquor license, so there's no granting. The ordinance doesn't say hold a liquor license. It says granted a liquor license. Words have meaning. The sale of alcohol, it goes on to say that the sale of alcoholic liquor must be incidental to selling of food. The term incidental. Illinois legislators have defined incidental to mean more than the other. In other words, if I sell more non-alcoholic items than alcoholic items, I comply with the term incidental. I'm telling everybody here that both by the total number of items sold and by gross revenue, my business, I sell more non-alcoholic items than alcoholic items. So even though the issue was not ripe, there's no formal complaint, there's no violation against me, I show a degree of cooperation and open my books to the commission. I might add that I was told in the last 15 years there's only been 3 hearings, and one of them is mine. The meeting was originally put forth for only an hour before our big open hearing on Garden Station. During that hearing, I was asked to provide more detail, a breakdown of my burgers, my ice cream, my custard, my sandwiches. But let it be known, I don't sell alcoholic varieties of them. They're all food. Another commissioner wanted a breakdown of my sales before I was a trustee, before I ran, before I even considered running. But rather than arguing relevance, I cooperated and I provided information requested. On the first day, last Tuesday, Christine Murphy has to stand up in the hearing and tell everybody that she submitted information to the Liquor Commission. She wasn't recognized to speak. There was no public comment forum at that time, but yet she feels empowered to stand up and make statements. And it's allowed. This is an abuse of power, her power as a trustee. Ultimately, the commission made a ruling, and I complied with the definition of incidental, clearly, convincingly, and accurately. Trial over, back to work. Anyone who says, Jack, you won, why are you arguing this now? I didn't win. I'm not in a better position than I was previously. You take something from me, then you return it to me and say, here you go, you win. This costs money and time. Who pays the attorneys to represent me? Who pays the bookkeeper to create reports? Who spends the time necessary to compile all these records? I know who pays the village attorney, and I know who pays the village court reporter. Our residents do. At a waste of our resources. We can't plant trees in our parkway because we don't have the money, but we can spend money to count the amount of cheese curds that Jack Kozar sells. What's a better use of resources? The village attorney advised that we change the ordinance to align with Illinois, just like what he assisted in Oak Brook. But first, the commission chose to spend money and resources to have a 2-day public hearing. Why? To satisfy my detractors. What we need to do is change this ordinance so it aligns with our state law. This suggestion was also made by our previous president, Al Baltus, in the open hearing today. The goal should be to allow representation, not prevent residents from choosing the people they want to represent them, not to punish them because they promised to serve. It's been said time and time again, why don't you transfer the business to Karen and take the path of least resistance? This is not what the overwhelming majority of residents voted for, that I take the easy way out. I was elected by an overwhelming majority, over 27% more votes cast for me than the number 2 spot. The people spoke. The people want me to sit on this board. And the people know that I own Fuel, Creme, and a Movable Feast at 324 East Central. I'm the only local business owner who holds elected office. Our people and our citizens spoke. They voted for me to stop the bullying from those on the board and from those employed in the village. I've been on trial in one way or another since I opened Fuel, Creme, and a Movable Feast almost 3 years ago. But today, it's not just Jack Kozar on trial, it's everyone who voted for me that's on trial. We need to change this ordinance so no one else has to endure this. So no one else is held to a tribunal and must prove a negative for a crime they're not charged with a violation they have not been cited for. So what's the message that we send? What's the message that we send to those who aspire to run for office? What's the message that we send to those who aspire to start a business in our town? That put our faith in democracy, choose our representatives, see them tried in public court for a crime they're not charged with. We're citizens, not subjects. Karen and I were assaulted on the Prairie Path last week, and the chief and the manager got involved, and I thank you for that. There was a drive-by shooting in front of my house the other day, and the police have it under investigation. I don't know if it was related. I want to believe that it wasn't. I know the police will do the best to get to the bottom of it. What I do know is that a minority, a handful of detractors who have nothing but hate, have been empowered, and this needs to stop. We need to concentrate on the village's business. We need to spend village's money on it, not on attorneys and formal proceedings. There is an abuse of power going on here. Christine Murphy ran on the platform to stop the abuse of power and provide transparency. Let me articulate that abuse of power through transparency of some of her recent deeds. This whole matter with the parking on Central was spearheaded by Murphy and Tucker. They tried to push through an ordinance removing parking adjacent to my business without leaving the commission on the eve of the election. She wants to dictate where I'm allowed to sit on the board. I've had to move 3 times in 4 meetings. I'm told that there's been lots of conversation about it, but not with me. I haven't been invited into the conversation. Where's the transparency in that? There's an imbalance here. Why does one trustee's opinion have more weight than the other? At 11:45 today, Trustee Murphy parked kitty corner from my house, stands on the Prairie Path staring at my home. I happen to be outside. I look outside to see what she's doing, or I look over at the Prairie Path to see what she's doing, and her comment is, "Good luck today." Is she trying to intimidate me, bully me? Anyone who questions this, it's all on video.
Excuse me, President Guzon, I'd like to ask Attorney Orr to formally file a 3rd episode of harassment in the boardroom and have this ended. I do not want to take this on as a personal assault, or we could be here for a very long time. I think we have all heard enough.
I'd like to wrap up my comments. I think I've been in a hearing for 2 days. There's much to be said here, and I would like to continue it on the report.
We would ask that you conclude for purposes of going on, as your comments are taking on a serious, whether they're valid or not, I'm not suggesting any yes or no to that question. But it is taking on a personal attack to another elected official.
Yes.
I understand that you're alleging that you're the victim of personal attacks as opposed to making personal attacks. But a village board meeting, I do not believe, is the format for such conversation. So if you would please conclude.
I would like to conclude that we need to concentrate on the business at hand. Every rule should have a reason. We need to get rid of old antiquated ordinances. Villa Park needs to modernize. We need to align with Oak Brook, Elmhurst, the surrounding communities. We need to get into line with the state of Illinois. We need to stop the nonsense, the bullying, and concentrate what's important. Our lives are important, our homes, our family, our future, our schools, our streets, our safety, our police department, our fire department, our businesses, our parks, and our neighbors. That's what's important. Let's spend our time and money on that, not how many cheese curds I sell. Let's change the ordinance so no one else gets bullied. So Villa Park decides who they want to represent them. And let's work together to improve our village. Let's work together.
All right.
Thank you.
Trustee Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start off by, first of all, agreeing with Trustee Kozar about some of our ordinances here in town. Yes, a lot of them are outdated and need revision. With that being said, as a board, we value our commissions. We value them. They are our advisors. They give us the ins and outs. We are not experts up here. We rely on our village staff and our commissions to give us the information that we need to make good decisions. So I will agree that yes, we have a lot of outdated codes that really need a hard look at. We need to take a good look at those and revise a lot of those. But in doing so, also, we need to empower our commissions and also value their input. First of all, with the assistance of the village attorney to guide me through this process, I would like to make that motion regarding removing from the table about the planning and zoning's recommendations for the board. So I would like to officially start that process so that way we get that back on our agenda by making the motion to remove it from the table.
I assume, Mr. President, that that would be a direction for the next agenda.
Correct. Yeah, it would be more, we cannot make the motion here, but we'll see if there's direction, if the board would be interested in doing that.
There is.
If I might ask for the board by a show of hands, is there anybody else that would be in favor of that continued to the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
With that consensus, what it would be is a motion to remove from the table. And then also we will have the actual ordinance on the agenda.
So just to clarify then, this, the remove from the table motion would have to be made at the next meeting. Okay, perfect. And we'll do that at that time.
Right. We're prohibited by law to take any action unless it's listed on the agenda.
Okay.
That's why we have to wait.
Perfect. So with that being said, I think it is very important with some other topics that we talked about tonight that we take into consideration what our commissions are telling us as a board and really value those decisions that come up here. And together, we will make these changes and make Villa Park an even better place to be. It has been a long year and a half, couple of years that we have been around here. The COVID pandemic has had a huge impact on all of our lives in one way or another. And these last years, I'll say it has not been fun at all. However, with our guidelines changing as far as COVID goes, people are getting vaccinated, things are changing, restrictions are getting less. We're getting out there and being able to have a little bit more fun. And a couple of our commission members in the audience tonight have already talked about some of the plans coming up, specifically surrounding Halloween. And what I will tell you about these plans, without giving anything too much away, is that Halloween is a very fun holiday for me, for my kids. We enjoy it. Villa Park, I think, has done a pretty good job in the past of celebrating this holiday. However, Villa Park has not seen what is planned yet for this Halloween. And it is a very exciting time to be a resident in Villa Park surrounding Halloween. We have some very good plans in place for this Halloween that everybody should be excited about. And without giving too much away, we have multiple commissions working on these plans. I cannot talk on the behalf of the other commissions except for the Villa Park Cable Commission. The Villa Park Cable Commission is producing a short film that will be released at one of these set events coming up on Halloween that is surrounding just Villa Park. We are producing a film made by residents and members of Villa Park that, well, I'll just say, talks about some local ghost stories and some spooky stories that are out there surrounding Villa Park and tying in some of our historical traditions around this as well. If you are a resident out there that has a spooky story, a ghost story, a scary story, just anything unusual, please contact me directly at my email. It's trusteepatrick at invillapark.com. I want to record you for this film from the Cable Commission that will be released at Halloween and get your story out there. If you're afraid to be on camera, don't worry. We could always pull that show back in the early 90s called Unsolved Mysteries, where they would always blur the witness's face and distort their voice. Well, the Villa Park Cable Commission has the power of editing just like that. So if you are afraid to be on camera or your voice recognized with your scary, spooky story, we could change that, but we still want to hear your story. It adds value to our community. It adds value to what we are trying to do here in town with Halloween. And I guarantee you, you don't want to miss this Halloween. Thank you.
Nice tease.
What a tease, what a tease.
Trustee Salella.
I'm going to pass this evening.
Okay. Village President's Report, I don't have a whole lot. I know it was not brought up today, though. The Economic Development Commission will be meeting Wednesday, the 16th at 5 o'clock here in the COW room. So Trustee Kumar, we will see you there as our new board liaison for that.
I will be there.
That's about all I have. Village Manager's Report.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have one quick item, and just want to remind everyone that the Villa Park Museum's ice cream social is going to be July 3rd at 7 p.m. at the shelter next to the museum. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, we have a motion for adjournment.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Trustee Patrick, second?
Second.
Trustee Corkery? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Our next meeting will be Monday, the 28th at 7 o'clock.